I felt this relationship was taking a huge strain, but I thought it could be fixed over time since things were just so amazing that first year. But I'm so gay.
Bro, emotions. I'm so gay. I'm a sexual bro. Can't believe I'm having emotions. It's really gay.
Was assaulted at a meet and greet during TwitchCon. A man cut across several meet and greet lines and attempted to grab her for a kiss as she tried to push him away. Her security guard quickly intervened and pushed the man off, but the man exited the building and was never restrained. The incident was obviously a catastrophic failure when it comes to keeping women creators safe. The man should have never been allowed to walk away after what he did, and it's unclear why her security guard didn't restrain the man after pushing him off. It's also unclear why TwitchCon security or the police on the scene didn't step in and attempt to halt the man from leaving. The man was eventually caught hours after the incident, and Emiru is currently pressing charges. She said, quote, "He was allowed to walk away from my meet and greet, and I didn't hear he was caught until hours after he attacked me. It felt like this only happened because of my manager pressing for it, not because TwitchCon staff present thought it was a big deal." All of this has raised tons of questions about security protocols at TwitchCon and what should be done going forward to make the convention more safe. Even before TwitchCon began this year, high-profile streamers including Cutie Cinderella, Valkyrie, and others declined to attend the event over safety concerns. After the Emiru incident, tons of big content creators began piling on Twitter, pushing out-of-context clips attempting to show lax security at the event and calling for Twitch CEO Dan Clancy's resignation. Of course, most of these people actually don't give a shit about women's safety. They're just opportunists, and we're going to get into all that. But why am I talking about all of this on Free Speech Friday? I think it's a good example of how more surveillance and security theater doesn't inherently keep people safe. And I think it shows the significant barriers women face as content creators and how relentless abuse and harassment silences women and prevents them from speaking out and expressing themselves.
And just, I would just carry them myself. Today, I'm finally going to be opening up about the psychological and domestic abuse, stalking and harassment, sexual assault, and threats of blackmail that Mizkif has done towards me, and some of these issues which are still ongoing. For the entirety of this year, I have attempted to separate myself from him and not talk about him at all, and not talk about this issue, and just not make it a public thing. I always tried my best to keep this to myself, but like I said, I feel like it's gone to the point, which I'll explain later, that I feel like it just has to be done. And I have always believed in not condemning people or starting drama online. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be asking, why am I doing this and why now? And I would like to explain that before I get started so that people understand what prompted me to do this today, and that it's not just on a whim or something like that. Okay, so like I said, I took a lot of notes, so forgive me if I just end up reading off my notes. The first and probably most severe reason is that one of the rules that I set for myself a long time ago about withholding this information was that if I ever felt like somebody else was in danger or being hurt, I would then make myself speak about it. And 2 weeks ago, actually 3 weeks ago now, I was informed by 3 separate people, one of whom was present for said incident, that he had done something similar to something that he had done to me, and to someone in LA at the end of September. And this person is not a streamer or content creator, but obviously that does not matter. And because of this, I cannot in good conscience sit here knowing that I know critical information about someone that almost no one else does and not say anything. I think that most issues and dramas should stay private and off the internet, and I still hold that belief to this day, and I will hold that belief going forward. However, there are certain things that cross the line, and I say that the line has been crossed too many times to be count. There's a point where I believe that people deserve to know. I think that at a certain point, if you know a lot of things about someone and you don't say anything to look out for others, it's wrong. It's wrong to keep it to yourself. I don't want what happened to me or what has happened to other people because of him to happen to other people. And I don't believe he will ever stop behaving the way he does. But regardless, yeah, like I said, one of the main reasons I decided to do this stream is to come out about all of this because I can't hold on to it any longer because it feels wrong to do so. And an honorable mention reason for why I'm doing this is that for a while, he has been indirectly threatening me through my friends and people that I work with. They've informed me that he said that if I ever talked about anything he did, he would try to create a smear campaign against me in retaliation. I was told that he even approached other streamers who were close with us back when we lived together, asking them if they would join with him, and they all refused. At TwitchCon, he approached one of my employees, threatening them and saying if I ever talked about him, he would destroy me. Multiple people have told me that his plan was to claim that I kill animals and that I killed my own rabbits, since I had several of my rabbits pass away over the course of 3 years while I lived with him. I'm sure he's—
I hadn't seen this yet, so, I mean, I don't want to give a spoiler to anything. That's exactly what he ended up doing. I'd only seen the select clips that were, being posted about both situations. And I was like, this is going to be one of the most grotesque ways I've ever seen anyone respond to allegations of sexual assault and blackmail and abuse by being like, all right, well, I'm now going to lay out my side of the story and talk about how she actually killed rabbits. And then it's like, this is fucked that it's gotten to this point where it's essentially like now it's no longer a situation where people take accountability. There's not even fucking a ukulele episode. There's no fucking, just sitting there, I need to apologize for everything that happened kind of shit. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to go on the attack right out of the gate. This is going to turn into some kind of a flame war online.
Probably listening now, and it's probably going to come as quite a shock to him that this information made its way back to me and that I've known for months. But if you try to threaten me to stay quiet, especially using my poor dead animals, I'm not going to stay quiet. Okay. So now that I've explained all the reasons why this took so long and why I made the decision to do this stream, I have a few more things I would like to get out of the way before I start talking about all of this. The way that I'm going to do this today is I'm going to run through everything from the beginning to the end to try to get across the story as accurately and fully as I can. And, hold on. I'm also going to be showing a few screenshots validating what I'm saying. I have more things, but this is what I felt comfortable using today. And, I will be running through those later. Another thing that I'd like to mention before I start is that during my statement, I'm going to be mentioning directly the names of about half a dozen other creators who were present for certain things. And I want to say that none of these people did anything wrong. I'm just saying that they were there, and I've asked all of them permission. They all said that it was fine to include their names, but I know this won't stop everyone, but I ask people, for the streamers that I mentioned, please don't go bothering them or asking them for more information. If there's something else that they want to say, they'll say it themselves, so there's no point to go pester them and bother them about it. There are also streamers who gave me permission to share things that they relayed to me privately, but asked me to redact their names, which I, of course, did. And the last thing that I want to make clear is that not every person that I interact with or that I'm friends with knew the extent of all of these things. And in fact, most of them didn't. And some of them didn't even know anything at all. I tried to keep things private with my close friends, but if anyone during the past year ever approached me asking questions, I didn't lie and I told them the truth. But yeah, I don't want there to be some kind of witch hunt like, oh, you knew and this, no, a lot of people, you know, didn't know everything or didn't know anything. Okay. I think that's,
Shit to build a case with witnesses and receipts. Well, yeah, I mean, like, no matter what, because obviously the response has already been, you know, the person she's saying committed all the abuse going on the attack. You're dealing with another person who has a lot of resources, who seems to be very vindictive, who's already trying to build some kind of a, you know, the security orbit around this entire thing, telling people like, hey, by the way, you can't talk about this. If you do, I'm going to go nuclear kind of shit.
obviously this part. I moved in with him, I believe it was the end of 2021, because he offered, I was living alone at the time, and I was having stalker issues in Kansas, and I mean, you guys know, like, all the stuff that happened there. I ended up joining the org and everything. We did a lot of streams together, and I mean, a lot of people already know this, but I'm just gonna come out and say it. We started dating. We were in a relationship starting January 2022 after I joined OTK. I'm not planning to go into too much detail about the start of the relationship because it honestly doesn't really matter at this point. It's irrelevant now. The only things that really matter that you guys need to know for the story are that it was, one, an extremely private relationship. It was even hidden from friends and people in the org, but I mean, obviously people all eventually figured it out. They're not fucking stupid.
If you don't know, OTK is basically the streamer representation management company founded by Mizkif and Asmongold that has a very long list of horrifying people in it, including Tectone, including other people who have been accused of sexual abuse.
And second, it was time that bad things started happening. At the start, it would be things like, for example, he would throw bottles, like plastic bottles with liquid in it, not like glass bottles, at me, despite me telling him like I didn't like it and it scared me and I bruise very easily. He would throw his phone at me. I would tell him, you know, it scared me, I don't like it. And one time it even hit me in the eye, which caused me to get a black eye, but he always, you know, was like, oh, it's an accident. And I was like, oh yeah, it's an accident. Like, you know, of course I'm not gonna think that, you know, he's, yeah,
no, that's physical violence. That's like straight up abuse.
At the time, I just kind of was, you know, I just brushed it off. And looking back now, I feel like that was kind of the start of him testing my boundaries, if that makes sense. So that was already kind of starting to show signs within the first 6 months of me and him being close. And then, again, a very public situation. The end of 2022, the cover-up allegations happened. I mean, yeah, like I said, all that's public. You can find all that, see like what I said during that, everything. After that happened, his behavior started getting a lot worse, which, I mean, I suppose it makes sense. You know, he was very stressed. A lot of stuff was happening, but the bad behavior was ramping up, and I feel like it's so apparent if, like, you know, you go back and watch anything from that time. I tried so hard to help him and be there for him because I really believed in him, and I wanted him to, you know, get better and get back on his feet and be the person that, you know, I always believed that he was. But that unfortunately did not really happen. For a long time, I think about 1.5 years from when that all happened, it was kind of like slow things getting worse, but I mean, honestly, I'm not even gonna bother going into the details of all of that because there's just too much to cover, and it's honestly kind of not really relevant to the rest of what I'm saying because the rest of what I want to say is a lot worse. There was a point where things really took a turn for the worst. Like, it felt like, you know, like a very delicate branch just kind of snapped. So, and again, a lot of people are like vaguely aware of this, but I'll explain it for people who aren't, you know, chronically tapped into all that stuff. So for a long time after the like cover-up allegations happened and he was like starting to kind of struggle on his stream, he never wanted to stream at the same time as me. Like, we really avoided it. And to me at the time, it made sense because, you know, I was like, well, of course, like, you know, we share a lot of community members. If we're live at separate times, we're both going to perform better. You know, it makes sense. But, yeah, we were never really live doing the same thing at the same time for a long time, with the exception of, like, things like events or sponsors or, like, you know, just special things. For a very long time, and a lot of you guys probably noticed that I would only usually stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. That was because of him. And now I stream whenever I want, but the first time that we ever streamed at the same time was for the 2024 Rust Kingdoms event on Twitch. We were sharing drops, so it was the first time in a very long time that we were both going to be live at the same time doing the same thing, basically. I know you're probably like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? But it'll make sense in a bit. So I'm live, he's live, we're both streaming, and like I said, you can go find all of this. This is public. There are clips of this. We're both streaming the Rust event, and I thought it was going really well. I thought everyone was having fun. I was like, oh, this is great. Everyone's, you know, doing the same thing at the same time. We're all hanging out. You know, we're gonna have fun. Like, I was really, really excited. And then I start seeing in my chat people start saying, unofficial Miz raid, and I'm like, what does that mean? And then I check my Discord messages, and he's messaging me. He's saying, like, Emmy, you know, I'm gonna kill myself. I waited, or I'm gonna KMS. I waited so long for this, etc. Basically, he was upset because I had higher viewership than him. That's literally it. I had higher viewership than him. And like I said, this is during an event, so there were drops. Like, everyone knows when there's drops, like, it's not even fucking real, but yeah. He starts messaging me, he's really upset. I tried to tell him, I was like, bro, you should come back and play. Everyone's having fun, everyone's like wondering where you are. But yeah, he ended his stream. And then I'm still live, you know, trying to act like nothing's wrong. And in that house, I had a glass door so I could like see this was happening. He was walking behind me, making sure that I knew he was there. And by the way, so there were many ways out of that house if he wanted to leave the house that were closer to his stream room. He intentionally chose the door that was right by my room. I feel like that's pretty apparent, at least to me. He starts walking behind my stream and slamming the door so loud that my noise gate can pick it up. So even people on my stream are able to hear this is happening. And he slams it so hard and so many times that the front door literally broke. The lock did not work anymore. It didn't work for months, and it would just make this horrible sound that I would have to hear like every fucking day. But anyway, so I hear him back there doing this, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I tell my stream, I'm like, hey, guys, I'll be right back. I get up and I go talk to him, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, Emmy, like, I hate all of you guys. Like, all you guys do is just take from me, and like, I'm just done. Like, I'm just done. And I was like, is this like really happening because of rush drops? And he was like, I don't know what else to do. He was like going off on me, like basically saying that he hated me. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do now. And he was like, go.
I don't understand any of this. Essentially, I know like some of the terms for people who don't like play video games or stream might be a little unusual, but like the TLDR is that these are two very famous streamers. I don't know what Mizkif's numbers were during this entire event, but I'm assuming still in the thousands. He gets thousands and thousands of live viewers, right? But he's just like that. Like, it's just fucking loser behavior. Like, holy fuck. This was back to my original point. I was like, how are you dating someone and not happy with their success or think you're in direct competition with them or something, especially if you're doing something together where you take it to that point where you'd actually start, like, you know, it's, first off, it's emotional abuse to tell a partner, like, you know, something like, I'm gonna kill myself. That's fucked up in and of itself. But to do it over the fact that like your partner happened to have more viewers than you, and then getting upset enough at it that you broke the lock to their door afterwards, just being like, what the fuck, I hate all of you, and it's just like, what the fuck, dude? I don't know. Like, so some of the most loser behavior I've heard in a long time.
Finish your stream so that people don't know anything's wrong. And I stop in the bathroom outside my.
It was like 15 to 25,000 viewers for both of them. That's the other part of this. It's just like, by what standard are you having a rough time? You know, like other, like most gaming streamers would fucking sacrifice anything to have like 10% of that viewership for a live video game stream. You've got 15,000 people watching. You're like, oh, I'm so mad. I'm so upset by this. I can't believe she has more viewers than me.
Stream room, and I'm like, you know, checking my makeup, trying to make sure people can't tell that I was like crying. And I'm only in there for like 30 seconds, and he comes and like looms in the doorway. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm just checking my makeup. So I go back and I stream for a couple hours, finish the stream, do my best, to just like, you know, carry on the show basically. And yeah, after that, like I said, was when things started to get really fucking bad. It was like something just snapped. For the rest of the week, he streamed the Rust event. He got all the drop viewers. I'm sure he was very happy. I mean, good for him. And during that time, I obviously was like thinking and processing a lot of what happened. But I mean, it was a lot because this person was at the time like kind of it was like my partner and my best friend and like the only person that like I really talked to ever, or like at least off stream. So I mean, it was a lot. But the very next stream, I went live about a week after that. And I announced that I was planning to move because I knew that I would have to move. So I was like, okay, I have to go live and say this so that, you know, kind of force myself to commit to it. Right? Does that make sense? Obviously, I didn't move out right away, but after like all of that Rust stuff happened was when the other domestic abuse stuff really started. He would destroy furniture in front of me. He would throw things in front of me and near me. Destroy walls. Again, you can go see this in some of his VODs in his bedroom. The holes in the wall. There would be times where he was upset at me, and I would go to my stream room and literally lock myself in to get away from him, and he would be banging on the door and screaming at me. And at the time, he also would more often do things like going, like if we were driving in the car together, he would be going like 150 miles an hour, and like one time he even said like, well, now we're both gonna die, like threatening to kill both of us.
Jesus.
And this wasn't like even necessarily because of me or like because of something I did a lot of the time. Like one of the times that it happened, it was because we were just getting food and he was on his phone and he saw that Mr. Beast had put out a video and Mr. Beast had invited another streamer and he was like, oh, Mr. Beast invited this guy to his video, not me. And I was like, oh, well, you know, like, huh, yeah, I guess so. Which led to him going 150 miles per hour in the car and talking about
over Mr. fucking Beast. Are you serious? What? What a fucking baby. This guy's not just a monster, but he's like, I would say probably the most deeply insecure, famous streamer I've ever heard of. Like, that's so ridiculous. I can't believe today Mr. Beast invited so-and-so, but I wasn't invited onto the stream. Ah, we're gonna die. Like, what the fuck? Are you serious?
Killing himself while doing it. Then at home, other things would happen. Like, I'd be trying to sleep and he would scream at me and say that it was all my fault that he felt insecure. There was a time that, I walked into a room that he was in, and as soon as he saw me there, he threw his phone at the dresser and started yelling because I had posted a YouTube video within the same couple of days as him, and mine was doing better. So basically, I felt like I was kind of stuck in a loop where I felt like I had to constantly perform and like prove my value to not be thrown away, but at the same time,
yeah, like what I'm getting here is that, you know, stuck in an abusive relationship with just a fucking subhuman monster who is so fucking, you know, dealing with his own insecurity on a constant basis, where she both had to be like a support structure for him and you know, try to help him out going through all this, but at the same time he blamed her for everything that, you know, was his own insecurities.
if I ever performed too well, I was gonna be punished for it. And it just felt like a very rough situation to be stuck in because, I mean, streaming is my hobby and my job. Like, it's a huge part of my life, even before, you know, I met him and became like a larger creator. And I remember thinking all the time how it felt like...
No offense, Lance, but I think being a bigger streamer makes you more insecure. I have no idea. I think, like, I agree with the people who were saying, like, at some point, maybe the psychology of the effects of being, you know, these super famous internet celebrities will have to actually be produced. Like, I have no idea. We're talking about people in different worlds to me, right? Like, they're in completely different orbits. I couldn't imagine just having 15,000 live viewers is a stadium. That's a stadium of human beings who are interested enough in what you have to say that they are sitting down in stadium seats in a fucking giant megaplex. Like, you yourself, just you playing video games is a goddamn baseball game to some folk, right? And to sit there and to be this profoundly upset, not to mention... I'm sorry, it's just so sad to me to get not only like upset, but goddamn threatening over not being picked for a Mr. Beast collab. Like, what? I don't know how much of this is just an indictment on how fucked and pathetic celebrity or, you know, our current culture is. That like I don't want to do anything to let this piece of shit off the hook, because at the end of the day, this is all him. This is 100% this fucking, you know, goddamn monster Mizkif. This is him and his own insecurities. But it's just like, it's so fucking, I don't know, bizarre to me to have like none of it excuses his abuse. Nothing. There's virtually nothing. Like, again, at the end of the day, if it's him doing this kind of fucked up shit, that's on him. That's just who he is as a person. He would be doing it whether he was a famous internet celebrity or whether he worked as a temp. Like, it wouldn't matter. He would be the same piece of shit to his partners, because that's just who he is as a person. I don't know the psychology of how much of this is being magnified by his fame, by his unbelievable amount of wealth. I have no idea. I'm sure that plays a factor into it, but at the end of the day, like, a piece of shit is a piece of shit is a piece of shit, right?
He hated me, but he still wanted me around for his channel and like his thumbnails and everything. And this is still before I moved out. There was a time where it was the tension in the house was so unbearable that I would sneak out and I would sneak into Esfan's house using my code. And Esfan didn't know why I was doing this. He saw me a couple times. I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna go take a nap in your guest room. He'd be like, yeah, that's fine. I would sneak into Esfan's house just to have some time of like peace and quiet. But eventually he figured out where I was going, and he would go over to Esfan's house to keep telling me off. And there was a time that he did it, and I was laying in the guest room bed, and one of the roommates in that house had come to see like why I was crying, and they were standing in the corner, and he came in, and he was very physically aggressive. He was like, Emmy, like, what are you doing? Like, angry. And then as soon as he turned and saw this other person standing there, he instantly like deflated and changed his tone. He was like, oh, Emmy, I was wondering where you were. Like, are you coming home? And that roommate like later asked me about it, and they were like, what the fuck was that? Like, are you okay? And I was just like, oh, it's nothing, because I felt like a lot of the reason that I didn't tell the people around me was because I felt like no one would understand, or even if they understood, it would just be a burden to them, because all of our streams and social circles and communities are so intertwined. I was like, maybe it's just better for me to deal with this and like hope things get better, basically. I honestly don't even remember what the final straw was that I finally was like, okay, it's time to go. Like, I prepared the house that I lived in before this one, like, pretty much immediately after the, like, breaking the front door thing happened, but I was still, like, scared and unsure. So I don't remember what the final straw was, but I remember the day I took Cheddar to the house, because he just randomly started, like, screaming at Cheddar. He was like, get that fucking cat out of my house. So I just grabbed Cheddar and put him in my car, and grabbed his litter box and took him there, and I just left him there and never took him back to that house. And then I think like within several days after that was when I finally moved out. It was on very short notice. Like I said, I don't even remember what the final straw was because so many things happened, but there was a time when I just knew. I called some movers. I said, hey, can you come tomorrow? And they were like, yeah, and then I literally moved the next day. Moving out into the last house that I lived in was a huge step mentally, because, like I said, a big part of why I moved into the first house in Texas in the first place was because I felt like it was the safest option for me, because, you know, I am a girl where it's like kind of scary for me to be living alone. So it was very hard, and at the time, even though like all these other things had already happened, I was very hopeful that me and him could be cordial and like eventually like things would be fine, at least
clean up your room
publicly, like for stream reasons, that, you know, everyone could just keep streaming like nothing had happened. And, you know, I at the time I thought that would be the best thing to do, and I felt like if I, separated myself from him without explaining anything, people that watched us wouldn't understand and would attack me. I was yeah, I mean, it ended up happening anyway, so, but yeah. After I moved out, we, like I said, still kept in contact. I had hope that somehow things would get better. He would always beg for me to come back, and he would promise therapy and change and, like, even talk to other people and, like, kind of present, like, oh, I want to change, I want to be better for Emmy or whatever, There was a short period in October where we had broken up because, I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter now. And when that happened, I honestly felt relieved because I was like, okay, finally, it's like on his terms. So that means he'll be satisfied and he'll be able to say it was his choice and he'll leave me alone. Because whenever I would try to push for it, it just felt like I couldn't like really sever it, if that makes sense. But I mean, obviously, hence me doing this stream, that was not the end of it. A week after this breakup, he asked to come over to my house and talk for closure. He came to my house and I was crying like crazy because the emotions were just very high because I was dealing with a lot of major shifts in my life as a result of me attempting to start to try to distance myself from him. So yeah, we were just talking and I was crying a lot. He started to try to comfort me by hugging me while I was sitting on the couch and holding me really close to him. And when this was happening, we hadn't talked in quite a while, and I'm usually very uncomfortable with being touched a lot by people that I'm not in a relationship with. But I let him hold me while I was crying. And he started kissing me in my face, and I let him do it. I was still sobbing a lot. And then, suddenly, he tried to climb on top of me and aggressively shoved his hand down my pants. And, I screamed. Yeah. And when I screamed, he jumped off me like a cat, And, instead of apologizing or checking if I was okay, he said, "I feel weird now. I feel like I did something wrong. I have to go." And he immediately left my house while I was still crying without, checking if I was okay or anything. And at the time, I was still making excuses for him, and I was still afraid of causing trouble for other streamers around us, or making things weird for viewers. I know that probably sounds crazy, but I just felt this pressure, I had to try to keep things together, if that makes sense. I felt like I'd caused trouble for so many other people if I ever said anything bad about him, or if I caused rifts in our friend group or streamer group. I tried to stay on good terms with him and hold everything in, and also I still cared about him a lot, and I still at that point had hope that things would get better and that he would improve.
That's fucking heartbreaking. I hadn't watched this in full, and now it is just fucking infuriating to think of the clips I have seen of Mizkif's response, which are beyond detestable. Having heard that full story, that's so fucked up, start to finish. The sexual assault, the emotional abuse, the manipulation, the endless insecurities that are fucking provoking everything, And then just like the sheer cowardice of it all, you know, just being like this endless insecure weirdo who's abusing this woman the entire time. And then like even that little story, that detail of him like jumping off and like, oh, now I feel like I've done something wrong. Not that you actively engaged in trying to sexually assault someone, just like, oh wait, oh shit, oh, so that wasn't correct for me to have done. Like, Jesus Christ. That's horrible. To the people saying that, like, you know, the differences maybe between them being very public figures and rich and famous, I mean, I think if anything, that provides even less excuses. He had access to any psychiatrist he wants. He makes like fucking millions of dollars a year. You know, the guy is fucking obscenely wealthy and famous, and you know, was just a monster the entire time.
And he'd also always hammer into me how he never physically abused me because he never hit me, and he would coach me and tell me to tell people or other streamers who were asking about it because they were concerned. He would say, tell them that I never hit you. Make sure that they know that I never hit you.
Yeah, it's all so much classic abuser shit. I can't put myself in the mind of a person who would watch Mizkif after this. Like, it's, I think, almost universally going to be people who believe that he's, or that she's lying, because that's always the fucking shitty part of this, is the he said, she said stuff. I saw videos that point out that he's got a long history of acting this way.
I don't have more viewers when I'm doing sponsors at my desktop.
You had 7,000 viewers when you were playing the crane game.
I had 14,000 this morning IRLing at the nonprofit.
Okay, I didn't need to hear that.
He gets upset when I succeed.
No, okay. I used no. I used to get upset. I'm not kidding you, chat. I used to legitimately get fucking pissed because I'm like, are you fucking serious? I brought this bitch into the world, and now all of a sudden she's fucking growing faster than I was. Because I was going like this, and she was going like this. And I'm like, what the hell is this crap? What is going on here? It's the fucking Babsity effect. So I was pissed. I'm like,
the fact
you were such a pussy.
The fact that you can say that and feel like it's okay that you felt that way and just be like, yeah, I was like that is crazy. That's bad.
Is it bad?
Yes.
And guess what?
Yes.
I don't care anymore.
That's bad.
But I don't care anymore.
That's also, that's someone trying to explain to you that, like, you know, this shit is not okay. Like, you know, it's not okay to even be like saying it out loud absolves you of something there, because like there's zero fucking reflection, right? Just like, hey, by the way, I did a really shitty ass thing in the past, and this is me being shitty. And then it's supposed to be like, all right, do you realize why that's weird and shitty, and maybe you should fucking seek therapy about this shit? You have 20,307 subs in this video from the past. Multiply that by 7, and you figured out a little bit near the amount of money he's making monthly, because that doesn't include sponsorships, that doesn't include a fucking huge amount of other shit that he's probably receiving income from. This dude is a fucking multi-millionaire who's sitting there insecure about the fact that the people he's supposed to love have more viewers occasionally than he does. And being like, yeah, just, you know, I'm talking about it. I can admit it out loud, so apparently that makes it okay.
And I stopped caring.
He's okay as long as I never have more viewers than him. If I ever surpassed him in viewership, which will never happen.
Oh, she'd be done. I'd pull the plug.
He could not take it. He could not.
I'd pull the plug.
Which I kind of understand.
Chat, it's like if she beats me in Mario 64. That's literally what it'd be like if she has more viewers. It would feel like she 2-0'd me.
What is wrong with men? Jesus. It's the fucking most badass thing in the world when you have a girlfriend who can beat you at video games. I gotta say, from first-hand experience, I got a story in relation, because all this is so fucking dark. So I got a wholesome story for you all. I downloaded because I'd heard about what a great indie game it was, Balatro, this year, and I was so proud that I finished a full deck, and then I kept playing, and it gets harder and harder. Obviously, anyone who's played it knows how it just gets more difficult in iterations, but you start really getting good at recognizing some of the jokers and stuff like that. And I was working so hard on beating a second deck, and I finally beat a second one, and I was just like, oh, and then I was like so proud of that accomplishment. And then I introduced my partner to the game, and she starts playing Balatro, and she syncs up with that fucking. She's not a gambler. She doesn't play poker, and you know she hasn't been playing like consistent video games for a while because we're just like too busy these days. I lost my PS5. She plays that game so much that I lost my goddamn PS5 because. Winning 2 decks felt good. She's cleared, I think, almost all of them. She's on to the shit that like the creator of the game has admitted out loud that he has difficulty reaching. Where I was like, oh, what's the special conditions for this run? And she's like, oh, you basically have like a handicap of -25 on this. You have -5 on that. You get no retries on this. You only have 1 Joker card, and also I was like, oh, seems difficult. Like, I'm just saying, I've gotten here in the game, and she has gotten to a point where I can't even indicate to you on screen right now how far she's gotten in Balatro. And I don't sit there being like, I've been emasculated because you're better at the card Joker video game. She works me in Mario Kart, all right? Like, fucking destroys me. I can plug hours and hours and hours into that video game, and I'll never come anywhere clearly as good as she is at fucking always picks fucking Toad or fucking Yoshi and is so good at sliding. But that's okay. It's okay to have a partner in your life who's better at you at video games, even if you love video games. I don't understand. This is so strange to me. It's very foreign. It speaks to such a profound, bizarre. I don't know how much of this is just him as a person. I don't know how much of this is just his weird programming as being like one of the top tier streamers, super famous. I have to be really good at video games. No one could be better. I don't know if this is an OTK thing. I don't know if this is something synonymous with the men in this organization who all seem to be monstrously huge pieces of shit. Like Mizkif, piece of shit. Asmongold, piece of shit. Fucking Tectone, piece of shit. All these people are such massive pieces of shit. But like, Jesus Christ, it's so unbelievable.
Time that you're willing to put into streaming. No one else does. I was terrified. I couldn't understand what was happening. My viewers were dropping. Maya's were only going up. And there was a part of me that thought that I was going to be smaller than her. And I don't know if it was my ego or what, but I couldn't take it. I felt like shit. And I was on the phone with Austin, and then XQC, I somehow got on a call with him, and he talked to me.
So, like, you're not in relationships. You're not in, like, never mind the idea of partnerships, but you're not in relationships with people. Like, you just see everybody as a commodity, and you see everything as a series of ones and zeros, right? Because if you are with someone who you either love or claim to love, or even like, you would be fucking thrilled if they have success. Doesn't matter if it's in the same field as you. Like, that would be unbelievably, amazing. Sorry, they're doing construction in my apartment. I don't know if everyone can hear that. Is that getting picked up? It's not a knocking on the door. They're literally doing construction above me. Yeah, it is getting picked up. All right. Well, hopefully I can play some of these clips before too much of it. It's not the stream has to end. You got on too long. He did broadcast a response. I've seen the clips. I'm not gonna play the whole fucking thing. You're very typical guy choking back tears, but admitting and apologizing for nothing kind of shit.
We broke up for about a month, then got back together because we thought we can make it work. We went to get food at BJ's, a common place where we would get food. And then we went back to her house. We cuddled for about 30 minutes and started to kiss. She said that she was okay with this on her stream, and I started to advance to the next stage because I thought that's what she wanted. She yelped, and I immediately sprung up and was scared if I did anything wrong or did wrong in general. I got scared and left the house. I apologize if that made Emmy uncomfortable for me not saying sorry, and I wish I said sorry back then. We broke up for about a month.
Very different series of events. One is someone who was terrified and crying and, was allowing him to hug her because, she was obviously distraught. And then in that, without her giving any indication that she was interested in having a sexual encounter, he started kissing her. and then sexually assaulted her, and then she screamed. And then when she screamed, he got up, and then he was like, oh my God, have I done something wrong? And then left. He then went on the attack and started talking about how the state of the animal welfare was very poor, so she's a bad person, everybody.
Emiru has a lot of rabbits. It was her calling when she first moved in. These were a big part of her life. But as those rabbits moved out of her room and into the...
By the way, maybe turn off dono voices and subs if you're doing your teary-eyed fucking here's why I'm not a sexual assaulter live stream.
living room, they started to see disgusting neglect. No food, no water, sometimes not having clean bedding for weeks. I, along with many others who would come over, would give them what they needed, and I would tell her all the time to take care of them, but to no avail. She completely neglected those rabbits, so much that many of them just died over 1 year of being around in my house. My cleaning ladies would clean them just because they felt terrible, and my brother once came over and said, and I quote, "If you ever marry this woman, I'll never forgive you."
What the fuck? Very different experience, clearly. Again, you might want to turn off your fucking notification sub sounds when you're actually trying to address accusations of abuse. My point here being is that I don't think he takes any of this shit seriously. Like, again, responding to an accusation of sexual assault with, we were engaged in what I thought was supposed to be a experience. I tried to move to the next stage. She didn't want to. I jumped off her and I left the room. That's all there is to it. Also, I now need to talk about how she abused her rabbits, and it was disgusting. Other streamers can back me up on this, and they also said you should never marry this woman. Like, again, a tale of two fucking different scenarios. You are accused of crimes. These are crimes, multiple crimes. You're sitting there fucking being like, yeah, it's gonna be a good stream, get me some fucking good ass donos, you know, and then I can apologize and, you know, cry for the boys. He even starts calling his tears like gay in the middle of, I kid you not. That's the level of fucking immaturity we're dealing with.
We would yell at each other, fight, and argue all the time. Things we never once did. I felt this relationship was taking a huge strain, but I thought it could be fixed over time, since things were just so amazing that first year. But I'm so gay.
Oh, bro, emotions. I'm so gay. I'm a fucking flaming homosexual, bro. I can't believe I'm having emotions. It's really gay. It's so gay, bro. So gay. You know you're fucking cooked when Rape Tone, of all people, says you're cooked.
I will say this, Miz, in case you're watching this. I do hope you take care of yourself. I do. I know you're kind of going down this route of you want to drop nukes on everybody and watch the whole world burn, and that's fine and that's dandy. It's not really going to change anything, is it? Not really. You can do whatever it is you want to do, but my suggestion is just that you simply retire.
Gonna be honest, I did not see that coming. Of all the fucking monsters on the internet, this one comes forward as like, yeah, you fucked up. It's pretty fucked. It's fucked. I don't know what to tell you. You should probably just retire from streaming forever, because it's bad. I mean, yeah, why not both? Why not both of them? Maybe both of them should just retire forever and realize that the world doesn't have to fucking look at their faces all day. The Twitch community is once again in turmoil after the shocking allegations Emiru made against her ex-partner and fellow streamer Mizkif. During a live stream on October 25th, 2025, she laid out several disturbing things that happened to her in her past. There's been a wave of netizens who have been calling to ban Mizkif, plus several viewers, creators, and OTK members have sided with Emiru. Hashtag ban Mizkif started trending across social media, and people accuse the platform of being too lenient, but Twitch hasn't made any official ban or suspension of him yet. She shared an emotional account of the psychological abuse experienced of being stalked, sexually assaulted, harassed, and blackmailed at the hands of Mizkif during the relationship. According to her, she had stayed silent for most of 2025 and tried to move on from the past privately, but after she heard about the new instances involving Mizkif in Los Angeles, she had to speak up. She recounted an incident where he allegedly assaulted her under the guise of providing comfort. Emiru also described his frequent episodes of yelling, door banging, and emotionally volatile behavior. So keep in mind, she came forward about all of this not to you know, as some people are saying, create drama or anything like that. It's a warning to people. It's to call out an abuser publicly and to be like, hey, by the way, to people who want to support him financially, this is what he is doing with his wealth and power. He is using it to silence the victims of his abuse. He's using it to abuse other women, and this is obviously something that people should know about. If they don't, who knows how far he can take things. This is not the first fucked up story involving Mizkif. There was, of course, the other incident of him in many ways allegedly covering up the abuse of his roommate who had sexually assaulted a woman when she was blacked out at a party. And, you know, he was allegedly going through great lengths to make sure that bigger streamers didn't bring attention to it. And that did not work out. And then he had himself a very emotional breakdown and then a return where he's all crying and being like, oh, I missed you guys so much. I'm so happy I'm back. Not at all upset about any of the fucked up shit that he's being, you know, accused of. She admitted to locking herself in a streaming room when he would yell and scream outside. She also claimed that he threatened to destroy her reputation. If she ever talks about me, I'll destroy her. Thankfully, she consulted a lawyer before going public with the information, and now she plans to file a restraining order against him, both in California and Texas. Moreover, this isn't the first time that Mizkif has been linked to controversy, because in the past, he'd been accused of helping to cover up sexual assaults involving another streamer. After her stream went viral, Mizkif went live on Twitch to respond and seemingly visibly shaken, but did not entirely deny the claims. He admitted to the following: punching holes in the wall, slamming doors, yelling, and threatening self-harm when they thought. But he says the emotional volatility was mutual and portrayed the relationship to be both toxic on both sides rather than abusive, which is also a very common abusive tactic, by the way. He also tried to shift the blame and accused Emiru of neglecting her pets. Many viewers saw this as an attempt to undermine her credibility, which was also one of the more fucked up parts of the entire thing. He acknowledged that he felt jealous of her rising fame and called his feelings disgusting, but honestly only felt like he was minimizing the abuse while painting himself as a victim, as for most fans. In a separate live stream, he had another breakdown where he threatened to leak private messages by other creators, and this move was looked down upon by most of us as an act of intimidation or revenge. So at that point, full-on crash out. The timing of Emiru's shocking reveal has aligned with another major scandal. She was assaulted by a stranger at TwitchCon, and after that incident, CEO Dan Clancy publicly admitted that the security failures violated the independent. Since then, Twitch accountability is being questioned again. It's not just about the safety of events, but also it handles abusive behavior from its top creators. I think that part's important, and this part is basically the one that should be across the board when it comes to these kind of creeps and monsters, is that, you know, just because he's an institution doesn't mean that he has any place having a platform. Just because he's very rich and famous and pulls in thousands of live viewers, if part of him is using that to abuse people, then, you know, the totality of the Mizkif experience is fucked. That's just really all there is to it. As long as there's this also perpetual cycle of covering up abusers, especially the you know, unbelievable amount of male dominated spaces such as streaming, where so much of it, like, you know, there's so many things wrong with everything about the story. Everything from the way that, like, most guys, especially the big famous ones on Twitch, treat women in these spaces, the ones who are trying to stream, as nothing more than like, oh, they're only famous because of their tits. They're only famous because of their ass. They're only famous because they're super hot and they wear lots of makeup. That's the only reason women on this platform are able to make it. Well, okay, so you basically reduce them to nothing but sex dolls, and that's basically how you view all women on the platform. And the ones who are, you know, successful or rich or famous are just given that by grace of the fact that all their fans happen to be male simps who are simply just hopelessly attracted to them, not at all because they might be funny or fun or entertaining. In the same way, like, you don't hear that double standard, right? There's a lot of people on Twitch who are male streamers who are very good looking and pretty and fun to look at, and then that's not what is accredited with their success, right? You know, Hassan might be one of the exceptions because people try to use that as a derogatory statement towards him, but it's also like, the double standard is so fucking striking. And I think that, like, that entire, you know, endless toxic atmosphere also contributes to these fucking assholes becoming the kings, the lords of the platform. The fucking the biggest streamers you can imagine always happen to end up turning out to be the biggest monsters. Why is that? You know, there are a few exceptions, right? You know, Hassan, iShowSpeed, both seem to be pretty good people, but like Trainwrecks, XQC, fucking Mizkif, Asmongold, like, Jesus Christ, it's just like an endless amount of just these absolute fucking weirdos, monsters. The OTK crew we were talking about earlier, fucking Tectone, like, Jesus. I hope that she's able to find the help, support, and honestly legal victories that she deserves going through all of this. It's profoundly fucked up and really shitty that someone had to live through that in silence. There seems to be a massive campaign against Twitch at the moment. I don't really understand how a lot of this abuse and drama is actually related to the platform and not the people. It's both, right? Like, on one end, Twitch has a responsibility to protect their user base, and that has been an issue. Like, look at the Dr. Disrespect situation. There's the biggest streamer on the platform, the most famous one, who's a pedophile and who's actively trying to recruit and groom children because he's a predator, and using the actual Twitch like DM system and portal to be able to do that. Like, using his famous position as a famous streamer to groom kids. That's an inherent danger to the people who use the platform. The other shitty thing is that, like, the dangers so-called to the platform that are obviously being pushed by a lot of fucking weirdos on the internet are always said to be things like, oh, well, fucking Hasanabi is a terrorist supporter, and all these lefty streamers, like Gremlo and Shonda Black are promoting terrorism by supporting Palestine, and the whole platform is too political now. It's politics that's ruined Twitch and all this kind of shit. And it's like, nah, there's fucked up stuff happening in every fucking corner of every streaming platform in every category. It doesn't matter if it's Twitch, Rumble, YouTube, fucking Kick, you name it. It could be the IRL streams. It could be fucking Minecraft. It can be Smash Brothers. Things that I thought were supposed to be just like wholesome shit for gaming communities are rife with weirdos, abusers, pedophiles, fucking all this kind of shit. So it is incumbent on the platforms themselves to also take these motherfuckers seriously and to do something that can protect the other people on the platform, the fans, the potential victims. Like, no one is owed a show. No one's owed their own fucking massive ass, like the Mizkif show, like, like a TV network, to certain extents would also be called out if it turned out that one of their hosts had been sexually assaulting and abusing another famous host, and that other famous host came forward to tell that story of being like, hey, this person physically abused me, sexually tried to assault me, is blackmailing me, like all this kind of shit. That's really fucked up. Hey, by the way, everyone should find out about that. Then yeah, that it would be incumbent upon that media TV network to do something about that, because it does not seem like Mizkif is in any way willing to come forward and do the restorative or rehabilitative justice. He's not even admitting that what he did was wrong. He describes the entire encounter as a consensual sexual encounter that just eventually stopped because he misread the room. Not that, like, a woman was crying and you tried to put your hands down her pants. Those are two very different stories. In his version of events, we were beginning to have sexual contact. I thought she wanted me to move to the next stage, at which point she clearly did not, and I left the room. Well, that's an entirely different story, start to finish. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
First off, thank you so much to our patrons for making this show possible. We could not fund it without you. And if you want to join, please check out patreon.com/theserfs to unlock bonus episodes, uncensored content, and all the good stuff. Thanks to Anna Loves Riley, Addercap, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hegbard Salim, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet One 85, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, Tigwick, and Words Greenwood.